Hello, reader. Thank you for joining. This is the Christian Readers Community Podcast. On this podcast, we will be discussing with fellow readers and authors. You will never lack for good conversations and recommendations of Christian books. If you're a lover of literary works, fiction and non-fiction, then you have made the right stop here. Thank you for joining us again.
Michelle Shocklee is the author of several historical novels, including Appalachian Song, Count the Nights by Stars, a Christianity Today Fiction Book Award winner, and Under the Tulip Tree, a Christie and Salah Awards finalist. Her work has been featured in numerous Chicken Soup for the Soul books, magazines, and blogs. Married to her college sweetheart and the mother of 2 grown sons, she makes her home in Tennessee, not far from the historical sites she writes about.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Christian Readers Community. This is Faith Jiga, and I have with me Michelle Shocklee. If you're a fan of historical fiction, you'd definitely be familiar with this author. And now it's time to hear from her about her latest work, All We Thought We Knew. Welcome to the show, Michelle.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for accepting my invitation. It's so nice to have you. I read an advanced copy of your book, and I was like, wow, you've done it again.
Thank you.
Different ladies, different generations. You're really, really good at this, especially simultaneously writing about different generations in your book. It's really, really wonderful to read. And yeah, really, thank you so much for that beautiful piece, All We Thought We Knew.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed writing that book.
Without wasting much time, let me start by asking you what inspired the book.
When I started to think about what my next novel should be, I knew I wanted to write a World War II novel, but I wanted it to be on the home front of the United States. And because I live in Tennessee and I've written several books that are set in Tennessee, I decided to go ahead and keep this book in Tennessee as well. But I didn't know a lot about what was going on here during World War II. So I started to dig into the history, and I came across some information about a large military installation called Camp Forrest. And Camp Forrest was located in Tullahoma, Tennessee, which is about an hour south of Nashville. And a lot of the information that I was reading dealt with what was going on with the military guys, the soldiers who were training there. But then I happened upon a little tidbit of information that just blew my mind away. And that was that German POWs, prisoners of war, as well as German enemy aliens, were also being housed at Camp Forrest. And so that's why I picked that location.
So this book was released 9 days ago because we are currently recording on October 9th. And for those who are yet to read the book, could you tell us a little about the book?
The book takes place in Tullahoma, Tennessee during World War II, as well as the Vietnam War. And both of those wars were very personal to the families who were here at home. I don't take the readers into the war in Europe or into the war in Vietnam. It's all set here in Tennessee and what was happening with the people who were left here. In the World War II story, there's a woman named Ava. She's lost her husband at Pearl Harbor, and she needs a job, so she takes a job at Camp Forrest. And as I said previously, during the time that Camp Forrest was in use during the war, they housed German POWs as well as German enemy aliens. And what that meant, the enemy aliens were people of German background, German descent, who were in the United States when the war erupted. I know a lot of people are familiar with Japanese internment camps and Japanese Americans who were held in these camps during the war. But I was very unfamiliar with the fact that Germans and Italians were also arrested. If they were here in the United States, they were arrested and they were detained throughout the entire war. And so this book, All We Thought We Knew, follows the journey of one of those detainees, Gunther, and he meets Ava in the World War II story, and they have a friendship. But then it's also a dual time story, as you said, and the Vietnam story is also going on simultaneously. And there are characters from both stories who have roles in each story. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
I'm going to, give a confession before I ask you my next question.
Okay.
Ava's love life. I'm not going to say anything about it, but, it was breaking my heart as I was reading. I was just reading and I was just heartbroken. And I'm sure you know why, but I'm not going to say anything to avoid giving away spoilers. But I was just heartbroken, and I was like, please don't do it this way. And, when we finally approached, the climax, the end of the story, I was satisfied with it. Just like I mentioned in my review, which I posted on Facebook, I, indicated that this book will leave readers heartbroken and inspired at the same time. That's just how beautiful this book is. Let me go to my next question. You've been writing historical fiction for years. What inspired you to write in this genre?
I have always loved history. My mom and my dad were voracious readers. We had a lot of books in my house when I was growing up. My dad was a World War II veteran. They both lived through the Great Depression, and they just had a lot of life that they had lived that we now read in history books. And so I've always just really loved learning about what happened in the past, how people's lives were, what life was like back then. And when I choose to read a book in my free time, I always choose to read historical fiction. So when I started thinking about writing my own stories, I knew that they would be historical because that was just the genre that I love.
You mentioned something now that your dad was a World War II veteran. How did it inspire or shape you as a Christian historical fiction author?
I think just knowing that my dad had participated in a huge way in something that is so huge, but my dad had a role in it. He was on B-17 bombers. He was, if you're familiar with that airplane, there's a little bubble on the bottom of those planes. And my dad was the turret gunner in that little bubble. And he he flew 50 missions over Europe, over Yugoslavia. He was stationed in Italy, and he saw and experienced a lot. Like most veterans from that war, he didn't talk a lot about it, but he did keep a journal. And he passed away many years ago, but I have that journal, and it is just fascinating to me that my dad experienced something that I now, read in novels and watch in movies and things like that. And so I would say that even though this story isn't about him, I'm sure that my dad influenced me in a lot of ways.
So let's shift a little and ask you about the research process for this book. How was it like for you? Was it the most difficult aspect of writing the book?
Yeah. My research process for every book is pretty much the same. About the time I get the idea for the book, I know where it's going to be set, the location, I know the era, but I need to dig into the facts. And so that's what I start doing for about 6 to 8 weeks before I actually even start writing the book. I will be digging into the research. I'll be reading on websites. I'll be printing out articles. I will purchase research books on the topic or the era or the setting or something, and I'll mark them up. All my research books are very well marked up with with notes that I'm taking. I'll buy a new notebook every time I start a new book. I buy a new notebook and fill it just completely full of notes and details that I want to go into the book. And so that's just the process that I start with. And when I finally start getting to write the book, I do research all the way through. When I come to something I need to be a little more clear about, I'll stop writing and go back to researching for a few days and then get back into writing the story.
Who are the people you envisioned while writing the story? Who are your audience?
For this story, I kind of think this story will appeal to a little bit broader audience than maybe some of my other books might appeal to. Most of my books are generally written for women of all ages, really, but, probably mid to 20s into the 70s or something. This book, however, because of Gunther's character, the German young man who is a detainee, I give him his own point of view, and he tells us his story from the time he was arrested to the end of his story. And so I do think that there's going to be men who will enjoy that story. There's going to be women who can relate to Mattie, the young woman in the 1960s. There's going to be moms and wives who can relate to Ava in the 1940s story. So I think it's going to have a little bit of a broader audience than my other books might have.
And what do you want them to take away from the story?
Every book that I write has a lot going on that is unpleasant. In this book, there's 2 different wars. There's a lot of very strong feelings about the war. There's loss because of the war. Gunther has had his entire life stolen away from him because he's been arrested and detained. So there's a lot going on in this story that is real heavy. And that's kind of been true for my other books too. Under the Tulip Tree dealt with slavery. Count the Nights by Stars deals with human trafficking. Appalachian Song deals with teenage pregnancy and adoption. And so when you have those very, very heavy topics like that, and as well as in this book, there has to be hope at the end of it. And that's what my goal is as I'm writing these stories. The characters are going through really terrible things, but there's always going to be hope at the end of every story. And I feel like that's our story as well. We go through things in our lives that might feel hopeless, but at the end of the journey, there's always going to be hope. And so that's what I would love for readers to take away from each one of my stories.
You've mentioned, a few major main characters in your story, or we thought we knew. Who was your favorite, and why are they your favorites?
I would have to say that Gunther is my favorite character. And he was my favorite character to tell his story because I didn't know his story before I started researching this book. I didn't know about German people who were in the United States who were arrested right after Pearl Harbor was bombed. I didn't know that they were detained throughout the entire war. I just didn't know that. And so my writing his character was a bit of a discovery for me, discovering this historical event that I was unaware of. And I hope that readers will also take that away and understand that things happened during the war that maybe we didn't even realize were going on.
One last question before we go. Are you working on another project? And would you mind talking about it? And when are we to expect it?
Yes, I am working on a new project. We are in the middle of editing it right now. It's a new book that, again, it will be set in Tennessee, and again, it will be World War II, but a totally different subject. Can't talk a lot about what exactly is going to be going on in that book because it's not finalized yet. But I do believe that readers will be fascinated with this history because I have been fascinated with the history of this book. It's really been exciting to write it. And once my publisher and I get the cover finished, the title, finished and really nailed down, we'll be able to, I'll probably put it out on my social medias and let everybody see it and know what it's all about. But it will come out a year from now. It'll come out in the fall of 2025.
So how do we connect with you on social media? So, keep in touch to get more updates as time goes on about your next project.
I would love it if people would just check me out on the social medias. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I have a website. I have a blog. So they can find me. I'm pretty easy to find.
With your name, Michelle Shocklee, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hi, thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you so much. Just one word of advice to anyone who has this desire or dream to write historical fiction, who has started or yet to start. What would you have to say to them before we go?
I say, do it. I had the dream to write historical fiction for probably 20 years before I was published. And I never let go of the dream, and I didn't stop working towards the dream. And now, people say I'm living it, and I guess I am, but I just definitely encourage everyone, if you've got that dream, to do it. Start doing the hard work of learning how to write a novel. I didn't know how to write a novel when I first started. I had to learn. I went to conferences. I took classes, and it's definitely something that anyone can do if they've got the dream and the desire to really pursue it.
Wow. Thank you so much, Michelle, for that wonderful advice. Thank you so much. I really appreciate having you, and this has really been a wonderful conversation. And I hope that when I invite you, when your next book is out, you'll be willing to come again.
Absolutely. I enjoyed being here with you today.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. And listeners, this is where we'll be drawing the curtain, as the old saying goes. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. And if you did, please check out this book. I read it and wow. Oh dear, the book really did something to me. And I hope you get to pick up the same lessons and enjoy the story as you read. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And I was like, come your way again next time. I'm saying stay safe, stay blessed, and bye bye, everyone.